The story of the Mahabharata says that long after the battle had been fought and won, the empire had been ruled and renounced, the Pandavas decided to call it a day. So they started walking up the Himalayas, having quit their palace, their worldly possessions, positions, everything. And so together they commenced the journey up the mountains. All five of them, plus Draupadi. Additionally, there was a dog that started accompanying them. So these seven together started the journey up the mountain. It was like the first day of the camp. Many people. And then as they kept going up and up, the air started becoming rarefied. And the Pandavas had become old by then. Draupadi too had grown old. Firstly, Nakula and Sahadev fell. They just fell and died. And that was the purpose of the whole journey, to give up the bonds, the relationship, to give up life itself. So the brothers watched the first two to go. And teary-eyed, they continued with their journey. And then, after climbing up some more height, after reaching even closer to the peak, Arjun fell. And the brothers wept, and Draupadi wept. But they knew that they had embarked on that journey only to fall. So they continued. Now there was Yudhishthira, Bhim, and Draupadi, and the dog. And they kept climbing. It became more and more arduous to climb. It grew colder. And the climbers were no more young. And they didn't have any desire left to live any longer. And then fell Draupadi. And Bhim felt as if his heart had split wide open. He wailed. Yudhishthira too felt the pangs. And then he told Bhim, "Why do you weep as if she's deserting you? Very soon you too would be joining her." And having thus consoled Bhim, the two of them The remaining two continued their ascent. And the dog kept with them. And then just when they were to reach the peak, Bhim too fell. He was not the Bhim of the battle. He was almost an emaciated old man now. Yudhishthira bid him goodbye. And then when Yudhishthira took the last step, only the dog remained with him. Only the dog remained. All that the human form has given you, all that the human civilization has given you, all that the human mind has given you, all your relationships with others, they may come and go. But Prakriti will stay far truer to you than anything generated by your mind, your thoughts, your cultivated relationships. People have already left. Some left on the second day, some on third, some on fourth. You too will leave. You too will keep falling one by one. And the dog will remain. It happens every time.
The story, what is the significance of dog you said? Okay, he remains.
Dog represents Prakriti. All your other relationships, wife, kingdom, brothers, family, they represent society. Movement into Prakriti is spiritual advancement because you have gone closer to your center. You have been able to peel off the social layer and now you are a man of Prakriti, physical nature. That is why when a Buddha quits his palace, he goes to the jungle. Jungle represents Prakriti. Jungle represents what the dog represents. Having quit the society, you are now entirely biological. That does not mean you stay at the biology level. That too has to be transcended. But still, being close to Prakriti is a great advancement. In fact, externally, if you can stay close to Prakriti, then internally you have already come very close to your Atma center.
That's what I think, and you did confirm it.
Today you spoke this story, and now it's a kind of curiosity which just came that in the first part of the story we have Arjun who does all these things, and at the last we see that Yudhishthira comes. So is there any relationship, or is it just a story?
Yudhishthir's priority all his life was dharma. Sometimes he was not able to fully do justice to his first priority, but still, he maintained, he tried. Arjun's first priority kept vacillating. Sometimes it was relationships, sometimes it was his warriorship, sometimes it was Draupadi. In fact, Krishna had to try really hard to drill some sense into him. Similarly, Bhim. When Bhim would be revengeful, then revenge was his first priority. When Bhim would be attached, then attachment would be his first priority. Of all these people, Yudhishthira was the only one who more or less maintained a stable position. Dharma is what he adhered to. That's why he was called Dharmaraj. He was not the best of warriors. He was not the best of statesmen either. He was not very skilled in affairs of the kingdom. He even kept losing the game of dice and was ignorant and stupid enough to bet his brothers, his wife, his kingdom, even himself. He almost sold himself up and became a slave. So there was not much of worldly cleverness about him. He got scolded in front of the entire princely gathering by his younger brother when he had put Bhim, Draupadi all at stake, and all had been lost. Then the younger brothers got frustrated and scolded him. So he was not quite an intelligent man in the conventional sense. But to the best of his ability, he stuck to dharma. Whatever version of dharma he knew, he was often at fault. But still, he didn't quit. And that is why he survived till the last. The message that goes out is, even if you are an imperfect follower of dharma, still you go higher than the ones who do not follow dharma, who have different priorities. Righteousness, doing what is right.
but if somebody is following dharma, then how can he not be intelligent what you are also?
Because your dharma may not be the dharma of Krishna. Note that even though Yudhishthira is Dharmaraj, yet Krishna did not choose Yudhishthira.
That was the second question.
When he was to lecture the Gita, Yudhishthira was not his choice. That is because Yudhishthira's dharma was an imperfect dharma. It was a borrowed dharma. It was a dharma that he got from gurus, from books, from convention.
Condition.
It was a kind of conditioning. But yet he was committed. With all his flaws, he was committed.
To his various definition of truth.
Yes, yes. At least formally, he knew that truth is important. It is just that his ways were not straight.
But if he had been allowed or if he had been given, then it would have been a chance that he wouldn't have been doing the same mistakes that he would be.
You mean had Krishna lectured him?
Not even Christian, but in any ways.
Yes, of course. See, the thing with the man of dharma is two-pronged. First, he is a follower of dharma, so he is likely to do quite a few things right by himself. Second, because he knows that he is a follower of dharma, so his listening might not remain that open. And Arjun might be relatively easier to teach than a Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is already Dharmaraj. It becomes difficult for Dharmaraj to bow down and relearn dharma again.
First of all, accept that what he has been following has been false.
Has been imperfect.
So is it a game of memory only? Like whatever, even though Arjun was lectured on dharma by Krishna, after the war, even he forgot what was said. So is it all about memory only?
If it is only about memory, then it is worth forgetting. If dharma is just some bits of memory, then dharma better be forgotten. Arjun got an earful from Krishna. He got a real good scolding. If you have forgotten, Arjun, it surely means that you had just memorized. Did I lecture you so that you confine my words just to your memory? I lectured you so that the words pierce you and reach your heart. Instead, you have boxed them in your memory. Anyway, later on, Krishna in his compassion again taught Arjun, and only Krishna knows to To what extent did Arjun gain this time? There is one Gita before the war, and then there is another Gita after the war. There is the Bhagavad Gita, and then there is the Uttar Gita. It's quite precious. You must read it. Uttar Gita begins with scolding. Krishna and Arjun are roaming, and Arjun casually says, Krishna, I have forgotten all that you told me before the war. Now that the war is over and we are just enjoying our life, would you mind recalling all that you said? And Krishna admonishes him. One full page is dedicated to the admonishment.